trains running, future plans and purchases. They're all here in my summer update. Hi, welcome back to Chadwick Model Railway. I'm Charlie and this is the 2022 summer update. I'm sorry, before I can go ahead with the summer update, I have a news flash from Hornby Magazine Awards. Woo! Hello Charlie, I hope this finds you well. Congratulations are in order and you've been nominated for an award by the Hornby Magazine 2022 Model Railway Awards. This year we've added a brand new category, Model Railway YouTuber of the Year, and you were shortlisted. Woo! So what happens next? The nominations in all categories have been compiled and put to the public who can vote via our website. Details here. Voting began today at 9 AM, that's today as in September the 2nd, and will close on Friday, September the 16th, 2022, and the winners will be announced at a private ceremony hosted at the Great Electric Train Show, sorry my teeth are slipping, on Saturday the 8th of October. While it's not a public event, you'll be invited to attend, blah blah blah. Anyway, there we go. If you can think of any YouTuber worth voting for, then have a vote. Right, back to the summer update. Now a fair bit has happened since the spring update, so what I thought I'd do first is give you a quick whiz around the room to show you exactly where we are. Now looking east, you can see the back of the bookcase that was moved from one side of the room to the other to allow me access to build board 21. And it's there temporarily, but will produce its own issues because now, with that bookcase being in the way, limiting the room for me to get into above that Helix, I can't build the branch line station until the bookcase is returned to whence it came. Anyway, this is Helix 1, or the first Helix, now referred to as Helix 1, and looking up top, these are the feeder lines that will go to the branch line station. Underneath here is the entrance to the fiddle yard and all the electronics that go with it. From there we move over towards the viaduct. And here you can see that the lines come up from the Helix and they're joined just before they go across the viaduct from the lines that run out to the branch station. All straightforward. Now moving on from the viaduct and sticking with the scenic area, we then come into a set of points that will lead into what will eventually be the station. The tracks split into 4 with the fast up and down in the centre and the 2 outer lines feeding platform 1 and platform 2. Also on the back there's another line, and in that line there's a little bubble car sat there which will be platform 3, little bay platform. Now I use this retaining wall here as a backdrop for when I'm doing my filming, but actually behind here is the run-up to what will eventually be, hopefully, a Freightliner depot. And if I remove both of these pieces of brickwork, you can see the full extent of how far it's developed. As you can see, and as I've explained in a previous video, I've used the old woodland scenic inclines to make the start of the run-up, and that is about as far as it goes. Swinging on a little further, you can see how that incline goes up, and I've also installed a little hillside with a farm crossing is just plonked into place there, and then we zoom around here to what we know as the river board, and you can see a little girder bridge popped in place there and the river that will actually be developed. From then on we run into the latest board, the tracks that end, which will actually feed into the TMD, and then you can see the update I did last time when we constructed this sort of flyover area which came out of Helix 2, and that is where we are today with the upper levels. Now moving on to the fill yard area, you can see the lines going to and from Helix 2, underneath that new little flyover, and then into the dark deeps of the western side of the fill yard. There's the wheel scrubber, and generally speaking there are 9 lines going right across through the whole of the fiddle yard. There's a large section of points that join the sections together, and just here, marked by this yellow bar, is one of the power district boundaries. There's also another one right over the far side. It's noteworthy to say that the way that the fiddle yard is being built, it's possible to get 11 trains in each side, so 22 trains in all throughout the fiddle yard. The tracks make their way up to the start of the helix. So what's the next stage of the layout's progress? Well, we're back in this area here because I can't develop the branch line station because of the bookcases in the way. But before the bookcase comes back here, we have to develop this section whilst I've got access. Now, this is where the bookcase actually goes in here. So what do we need to do? Well, this board here, there's a new board to come out to about here, and this board here now will go right around the outside of the helix, and on it it will carry the reverse loop, and that will run around into this section here and join up with these 2 lines, and will form the basis of both a TMD and a fuel refueling area. So that's the next challenge. Not forgetting, of course, that we've got that Freightliner feed to come right around, and then on top of the reverse loop here, in a scenic area, because all this will be covered over, will be the Freightliner depot. Comes up on one track, splits into 2, and then there's obviously a run around for the loco to come off of the front of the train, come back around onto the back of the train and take it away again. So lots of developments to be carried out in this sort of area here. It's just a case now of trying to plan it through and work out exactly how to get the support structure built. We like a challenge, don't we? Now, I thought it might be easier to explain this looking at the track plan in a program known as AnyRail. It's only available on PC, it's not for fruit-based computers. And I've just shown you board 21 and the gap where the wardrobe has to refit. So let's just take a closer look at the construction that I've yet to do. If I zoom in here, hopefully it will kind of make sense. So this is board 21 where I've built, and this is the board I just mentioned building, which is 22, then 24, which is an odd shaped board that will go around the outside. That will link up with board 26 and then build board 23 and board 25, and these should all be at the same level. I can then show you the tracks, and so here's the reverse loop in yellow going around the outside, and there's the TMD which sits quite squarely on top of boards 26 and 25 on top of the helix. So you can see there's a lot of work and a lot of point work to do here, but it makes more sense to do it sort of methodically and build 22, 24, then 26 and 25 and 23. Eventually, of course, we have the high branch to come in, and if I just bring up that level, and you can see this in the magenta colour as it comes in on top of the reverse loop, goes, so the train will come in along this line here, stop, the loco will uncouple, do a run around back over there, pick up the train on the other end, and then depart back down into the main layout. Now hopefully that might make some sense. Well, enough of all this planning, let's get down to running some trains. Now, train controller is something I've always been into, so we'll let that do a little bit of work today for a change. And I've got 4 trains to run. One of them is my Intercity 125 unit, and this one has proved its reliability throughout the layout already. Anyway, so that's one of them. It's in the blue corner, as it were. The other in the blue corner is a Hymec pulling a a rake of 16-ton mineral wagons, and they are all in the western fiddle yard, and in the eastern fiddle yard on the other side is the Pullman, and that is another good reliable train with no derailments, and she's backed up with a warship on a local passenger service. So those four are the four trains that are going to go running around, and hopefully we won't have any major accidents. Rest assured, I've had some in the past. I've got a couple of cameras dotted around, and we should hopefully get some decent footage. I've also got a little track cam, but it's given me a little problems with some batteries, and I'll occasionally drop that onto the front of the HiMech to see if we can get some more exciting stuff. So there we go. Let's hand over to Train Controller to run the trains, and I'll talk you through the start of it. Well, here we are ready to go. So the first thing to do is start up the HST, and then the second thing to do is to start up the warship. So off they go. And it's just worthwhile mentioning that any sound fitted locos, whilst these locos are in the fiddle yard, the sound is off, and when they come up to the scenic area, that's when their sounds turn on. I'll also start up the HiMech. She won't move until her path is clear from the 125, and also the warship is now well on its way. So let's swing right around to one of the Helixes, and this is Helix 2, which has the warship making tracks up there, and at the far end we can see the 125 going into Helix 1. And the 125 returns home to its allocated siding. And down here you can see some yellow dots, and all being well, the 125 should stop just an inch or two behind the yellow dot. Well, I hope you found those clips of trains running interesting. Please excuse the dodgy camera work. I was kind of leaping around from one area to another. But there we go. Apologies that the track camera didn't work. I need to get a new battery. I found it on a well-known auction site anyway. So I've ordered one off eBay. I think it was £6. So that should appear in a couple of days' time, and I'll solder a new one in. And if you saw me put the track camera on, obviously it ran for about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so, and then gave up. Sadly, it didn't, that wasn't the last time I saw it that day, and KD couplings aren't as reliable as you might hope, especially on inclines, and as you can see, I turned into somewhat of a sprinter before that little camera sort of broke the sound barrier. Anyway, we live and learn. But on the subject of KD couplings, I have these cement wagons, and I've got 4 of them, and they've got KD's number 17s fitted. And if you're thinking of buying some, then I'd suggest you might think again, because certainly on short wheelbase wagons, the number 17s cause buffer clash, and going down the inside of my Helix, both Helixes, Helices I think is the right term, on the third radius curve they clash and derail. So, you know, nothing wrong with that. Well, I just wasted my time on the 17s. I could, of course, replace one 17 with an 18 and see if they'll go down, that way minimising the gap. But they certainly don't work on third radius curve on short wheelbase. It might work with a bogie wagon or whatever, but beware before you cough out on size 17s. What else? I showed the fiddle yard earlier with the yellow dots. Well, because of the curves, naturally all the fiddle yard sidings are of different lengths. And in the past I've knelt at the altar of McKinley, because those guys down there have forgotten more than I will ever learn about model railways. And they use a piece of rope to figure out how long their sidings need to be. And this piece of rope happens to be a 9-car HST in length. And similarly, I've put some other markings on here for an 8-coach train and a 6-coach train. So it's easy to lay out, to figure out where to cut blocks and things when you build your layout. An interesting way of doing it. However, comma spacebar, a gentleman by the name of Simon Mitchell provided me with a spreadsheet, which hopefully you can see now. And it's a working spreadsheet that all you need to do is enter the details of your coaches and their lengths, and obviously the end formula changes and it tells you how long your train's going to be. Interesting thing. And if you want a copy of it, if you go to the item description, the show more tab, scroll to the bottom past all the affiliate links and stuff, at the bottom you'll find the downloadable version of his spreadsheet. Also in there is another spreadsheet which gives you the details of all my videos and which categories they sort of fall into. So there we go. Right. Spring update, wasn't it? What else have I been up to? I went to a model railway show in Wells not too long ago, and I bought these 2 books. It's volume 1 and volume 2, Early Diesel Locos in Colour. Tops classes 1 to 35 and 37 to 55. These books are absolutely beautiful because it's all colour, and if it's ideal for weathering and just general info, they are clearly not going to be cheap. I've got a little bit of a knockdown price, but well worth the investment. They are smashing books. So it's BR Early Diesels in Colour Part 1 and Part 2. Next thing springs to mind is this little, I think it's a covered carriage truck. It's got two sets of wheels, fixed, no bogies. Doesn't like model railways at all. This thing is very, very rigid and derails all over the place, to be perfectly honest. Next thing, buying new locos is always going to be a dilemma these days with the way costs have gone through the roof. And I have turned my back, I don't know. I'm not buying anything from Hornby and Bachmann of late. Their diesel prices, because I'm not a steam guy really, have gone through the roof, and I can't justify spending, I don't know, 300 quid on a diesel with a sound chip. I mean, it's preposterous. So I go to shows and everything else, and I went to a model railway show I think it was in Shepton Mallet, and Jake, a chap I know from a video I shot, sold me a lovely little Bachmann Class 25. one end, the lights and the, the head code didn't work, but half an hour later and a new decoder in it, and it works perfectly. It just goes to show that you've got a model railway show and you see something and you say, can I test it out, pick it up, pop it onto one of the layouts that are there. They're very willing and for you to test it on site, test it, give it a go. So you're not just blind, when you go home from something like Wally with your second-hand loco to find it doesn't work. Well, you're not going to drive back to Birmingham, are you? So local model railway shows, when you buy used stock, keep an eye on it. It's a pretty nifty way of doing things. Right, I'm onto my list now. Bit of a serious one. I did a review in video 159 of an ultrasonic cleaner. I've just had a phone call from a gentleman by the name of Steve, and he says there's a product recall on them, and I'll get the details and I'll pin it to the comment section of video 159. So if you bought one and it is part of the product recall, you'll have the information there should yours fall into that category. Okay, what else have I got to say? This railway now has come on in leaps and bounds since it's since it's been connected up, really. And I have trust in quite a lot of items. Those 4 trains we ran today, I am quite happy to leave them run and walk away without derailments. It's not quite the case. I have a King George V, which came back into mainline service, I think is in 1971, so it's kind of suitable for a preserved loco on this layout. And I've got a set of Hornby Pullman cars which have kinematic couplings, and they're a bag of worms, and they're going to take a lot of effort to get to run up and down these helixes and through the diamond crossings. So don't think that building this and sort of getting your track work right, everything will run. It really isn't the case, and I'm still slaving away at my my ballast train. That goes on that one, doesn't it? Can I leave it alone? Trust summer update, 3 areas. Oh, lists of problems now. Things that haven't gone my way, I now have lists of a nag sheet, less things to do. So I have a list of locos that need TLC. One of my Cast 33s, Helgen, you'll be surprised to know, has lost the drive at one end. And I've done a video on that in the past, how to sort that out. Rolling stock that needs sorting out, whether it be couplings, magnetic couplings, or whatever. And I've also got a list of track issues that I need to sort out, and electrical issues, more to do with block detection than anything else. But rather than just carry on blindly say, oh yeah, I'll sort that out sometime, now I've come really grown up and I write things down on a list. And then obviously the most important things you do and order the bits you need to do, because without recording it, you're never going to find, where you've gone wrong. Anything else left? Trust, 3 areas: autumn, build, program, train, storage, maximize variety, automation, purchases, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think we're there. So my thanks again to Jake for my little bargain class 25. And what else can I say about bargains? Hopefully you find the channel's a bargain, because if you want to subscribe, there's a button and it's absolutely free. And like many other channels, hopefully we provide good entertainment. I must thank my patrons and the people who support me in the channel, because without you guys, I wouldn't be able to run it. So if you want to become a patron, there's the button for that. And there should be a video here and here. And I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.